Oh, wow. Grand Rising. My name is Dr. Alice Reid, and I'm the spiritual director here at Centers for Spiritual Living, Capistrano Valley. And boy, what a way to set me up. Thank you. It was just, the energy in the room is palatable, and I felt that. Did you guys feel that? Yeah, absolutely. I'm really grateful for that. I'm also grateful for all our committed givers and tithers. I have a report for you to share with you, some really beautiful news. I am baking a lot of bread. I am a bread baking fool. We have raised more money so far through our committed giving program than last year. And I want to thank those who have committed to giving at least 15% more than they did last year. That's why I'm baking 12 loaves of bread. Yeah. We are also just shy of giving 15% more than last year as a collective. Like $1,600 shy. That's like $135 a week. That's like $15 for 9 people a week. And we're not done. We're not done. So if you want to get a card and put it in the treasure box, I'll put your star up on the wall. And together we will lift up this community like James lifted us up this morning with that song. Oh, anybody remember The Never-Ending Story? The movie The Never-Ending Story? Yeah, my kids and I watched that. As a matter of fact, we watched it again a couple years back when we were all visiting. And it's the story, if you're not familiar with the story, it's a story of a young boy, Bastian, who happens upon a bookstore. And he happens upon this storybook, and he's really enthralled with it. And it's the story of a warrior who's named Atreyu, right? The young boy's name was Bastian. The warrior in the story's name is Atreyu. And they seem to have a lot in common, Bastian and Atreyu. And Atreyu is in this world called Fantasia. And it's a magical world. And people kind of seem normal enough. But there's this little gnawing that he's not sure what that's about. And as he continues to discover this wonderful world, he realizes that there is something's wrong, and people seem to be ignoring it. They seem to be turning the other way, and yet there's this great nothing that is eating up the world. It is destroying Fantasia a little bit at a time, and Atreyu is charged with saving the world. And he has all these adventures, and at some point, he does indeed save the world through hope and through love and through imagination. And so I want to use that story as a little bit of a backdrop to talk about the election this morning. That's right. I think we've all been through a lot in the last couple of days. And I know there are some of us that are very pleased with the outcome, and there are some of us that are really disturbed by it. I'm going to ask your compassion for those that are pleased with the outcome. When I woke up Wednesday morning, I was weeping, and I was hurt, and it was difficult for me, even though I wasn't super surprised. And the reason that I was challenged by the election results didn't have as much to do with my party affiliation. It had a lot more to do with what I see as anger and othering and differentiating and finger pointing and people blaming things on each other, and it's painful to watch. It's hard for me to see this. It's been that way for 8-10 years, that our political environment has been this amazing feat of people blaming each other for our current circumstances and then othering each other. what I notice is that people are really tired. They're tired of the divide. They're tired of the lack of unity. They're tired of the arguments. They're tired of having to feel like they have to protect themselves. And so what I want to tell you is that this sanctuary, this community, is a safe place to be wherever you're at. Whatever it is that you are feeling right now, this is a safe place to feel it. We're doing this program this month, Think and Grow Rich, which felt a little trite on Wednesday morning. Asking people to feel gratitude and joy when I knew at least half the population was struggling. And so I invited people. I've been posting it on Facebook, and I've been inviting people to feel their feelings, if your heart's breaking, let it break. Let something come through. When I think about the story of the never-ending story and the great nothing, it is the thing that represents kind of the subjective and the apathy and the place that we can go when we get too tired or we're hurt or we're trying to protect ourselves. And it is not the place we need to go. We need to feel our feelings. We need to complete those feelings. And then from that grounded place, we can decide what's ours to do. The other thing that I think the great nothing represented was this amount of misinformation that is just running rampant on both sides of the aisle. I'm not going to say it's one side or the other because I'm seeing it on both sides. And that misinformation, it just clouds my understanding of what's going on. I don't know what's true anymore. But I do know what's true with me. I do know the principles and the values that I hold true. I do know that I believe in love. I have this wonderful tie-dye shirt here that a member made me in Santa Cruz. It's got the teaching symbol for the science of mind on the front of it, and it's got all the colors of the rainbow, and it really represents for me what I stand for and the values that I stand for about loving people and loving them right where they're at. And I think that when we look at the principles that we teach here, those are the principles that we espouse. And even though I have a strong vibe for love and standing in love, I don't know that it's enough to just believe in love. I know that for me, I have to look at how I am actually walking out in the world as love. And when I see the divisiveness and the discord that we're living with right now, where people are othering each other, I have to recognize that I'm part of that. And you know how I know I'm part of that? Because when I went to make my vote, I was voting for what I didn't want. I was voting from a place of othering. I was voting for the things that I was afraid of. And when we have this kind of collective conflict that comes up, it's an opportunity for us to see what is in the subjective that wants to come up and be cleared. It isn't the time to put on the brave face and say, God has a plan. I got news for you. God doesn't have a plan. You do. And it comes from the values and the principles that you live by. It comes by the way you treat other people. It comes by the way you choose to live in the world. It comes from that God within you that expresses as you. That is the opportunity we have before us. There's, when I was thinking that when we look back on this period in time, for me, it feels like a much broader sweep than just November 5th, 2024. It feels like this time of mirroring with each other. I think I will come to know it as the time of the great projection. The time of the great projection where we project all the things that we don't want to see on ourselves onto the other. When we have dived deep into the pool of duality and we have seen more of our differences than the places where we really are connected. I think right now we're living in a time where we're seeing the universal shadow. And it's coming up for us to pay attention to it. I think the universal shadow is where fear lives and thrives. It shows up as mistrust. It shows up as hatred. It shows up as othering. I don't know where to attribute this quote, but it reads, "It takes a tremendous amount of emotional and spiritual maturity to witness in full force the collective shadow of humanity and keep your heart open." I'm going to read it again. It takes a tremendous amount of emotional and spiritual maturity to witness in full force the collective shadow of humanity and keep your heart open. And it takes courage and it takes faith and it takes courage to stand up for your values. This is a center for spiritual living. It's part of a larger group called Centers for Spiritual Living, and our values are espoused in our global vision. And each month we take a little subset of the global vision and we share it. But it's a much larger document. Parker Palmer tells a story of people in the upper Midwest who, back in the day, in olden times, when there would be blizzards and they would have to go out to the outhouse, they would get lost. And people would not find them until the thaw in the spring. But people got smart because they learned that if they tied a rope to the porch and they tied the other end to the outhouse, that people could find their way. Simple idea. I want to suggest that our global vision is like that rope. And the blizzard is this misinformation that is coming at us from all directions. People's opinions showing up as fact. Newscasters who don't know how to report news neutrally anymore. There is a movement of mass information that feels like a blizzard, and it's easy for us to get lost. But our global vision and our values will always lead us back to the sacred and safe space that we call Centers for Spiritual Living and community in this philosophy. I want to read the global vision in its entirety, but at the same time, I want to do a little ritual with everyone. And it's going to be a little messy, and I'm going to invite you to roll with it. I'm going to ask the stewards to go to the back of the room, and they have balls of yarn. And there's one for each three sections, this section, this section, and this section. And from the back of the room, I'm going to invite you to take a piece of that yarn, give yourself lots of extra wiggle room so we can pass it around to each other as I read the global vision. But first, you may have noticed that this has been in our sanctuary for the last month. And it is, you're all holding your breath as I, this is our inclusion flag, and it says, "Everyone is welcome here." So this is going to be our anchor right here while I read the global vision. A world that works for all, where all life is honored as expressions of the divine. where people live according to spiritual truth, where humanity awakens to spiritual magnificence, where humanity rediscovers personal creative power, where we live as one global family, where kinship with all life prospers, where unity and connection is emphasized. Do you guys have a ball of yarn over here? Start passing it around. Where unity and connection is emphasized, where forgiveness is the norm, where spiritual guidance is valued, where communities are meaningfully involved in service to the world, where resources are valued, cared for, and shared, where people have enough food, homes, and a sense of belonging, and where there is peace, harmony, and justice for all. And so, as that yarn goes around the room with lots of slack, give yourself lots of slack, don't hold it tight, and you take a piece of that yarn, I want this to represent to you the global vision that will bring us back to center, that will remind us what we stand for, that will help us to understand that we have this community that is a safe place no matter who you are, no matter who you love, no matter how you identify yourself, no matter how much money you make, no matter what challenges you face, you are safe here. And so I think we're just about ready to have the yarn come forward. Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Come. This last one here, Faith got a little bit of a late start. And so and a little bit of a tight skein. Faith, if you bring that over here, please. Please bring it to me. That's okay. That's perfect. That's perfect. All right. So all of these strands of yarn in this messy little ritual give us a place to feel grounded and to know that we're home and to know where we can find our equilibrium. Yes, thank you. I declare that this community is a safe sanctuary for all. And if you're in agreement with me, say yes. Yes. Wonderful. Know that we are all connected, and in the blizzard of discord and in the blizzard of disharmony and in the blizzard of miscommunication, we can always find our way back when we are together. Yes. Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to invite you to put the yarn on the floor in front of you, for it has symbolically represented to you how we're connected, but you don't need to hold on to the yarn all the time. For now, you know that you are home. And so let's go ahead, and I'm going to pray us in with this beautiful ritual of connectedness and togetherness. And so I know right now at this moment, at 11:11, which is a sacred number to me, that we are indeed blessed. We are blessed by this philosophy. We are blessed by this wonderful community that we have created out of love and out of safety and out of care. I know that all of those qualities are deeply ingrained in the beloved, the one divine, immutable presence that moves in as and through each one of us. So as we move from this place, as we allow ourselves that the tenderness of our hearts and our feelings, as we have compassion for one another, let us remember that we are indeed divinely connected, that we can always find our way back to center. And when we get a little lost, we can have help in finding our center through each other, through community, through this philosophy, through these beautiful values. And so I know that there is indeed a good for us, and we ought to have it, even when we can't see it, even when the effects of this election seem to point otherwise to some of us. What I know is that we raise our consciousness, we raise our spiritual eyes, we look up, and we know the truth, that we are guided, guarded, and directed, that we have a safe place, that we can always find our way back to center. And so it is with deep gratitude that I speak this word, that I declare this community a safe place, and that I know each one is blessed by their willingness to be part of that safe place. We simply let it go. We know it's God. We know it's good. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you.